Welcome to Art. We're here today in the Galapagos Islands, this volcanic chain of islands in the Pacific, 600 miles west of Ecuador. These islands were formed between 1 and 5 million years ago, and life is struggling to get a foothold here. In 1835, Charles Darwin visited here, and he was so impressed by the variety of life changing from one island to the next, completely different from the mainland species, that he went home and spent the next 25 years writing the theory of evolution. I have a friend here, Mr. Marine Iguana. This is a male with the spines on the back of his neck and red coloring to his coat. If I get him angry, he'll become territorial and rock his head up and down. There he goes, on cue. We pay for performances like that. The marine iguana is just one of many species unique to the Galapagos Islands. Formed by volcanic eruptions within just the past few million years, these islands are nature's laboratory. The animals we see here today are derived from mainland species that were carried here afloat by the convergence of ocean currents, or birds that flew here and found a new home free from predators. The various islands of the Galapagos archipelago are all different. Some are mountainous, with zones of rainfall at higher elevations. Some are quite arid. They are separated from one another by deep water channels with currents that effectively isolate the animals of one island from another. Today, as we explore some of the different islands, we have a golden opportunity to see the different ways life has adapted to each. Our journey begins on North Seymour Island. The first thing we notice is how unafraid of people these animals are. The sea lions pose for photos or just go about their daily lives. Hungry pups suckle their mothers. Others, waiting for their moms to return, will even check out a friendly tourist. Of course, only the strong survive. This is the very essence of natural selection. Further along the coast, beautiful swallowtail gulls nest along the rocky cliffs. Also unafraid of people, they allow us to witness even the intimate act of mating. Nests are simply patches of ground sheltered by rocks. A male and female swallowtail share guard duty over their precious egg. At night, they take turns feeding on schools of fish. One of the most popular birds of the Galapagos is the blue-footed booby. Boobies inhabit most of the islands of the Galapagos and can be observed singly or in mating pairs. This pair, a smaller male and larger female, engage in a courtship dance. Frigate birds nest on North Seymour. Flocks of them can be seen in the coastal shrubs. Females are distinct with their white throat plumage. The male puts on a spectacular display with its red throat and gestures skyward. Frigates are beautiful and graceful in the air. They feed by harassing other fishing birds in mid-flight, stealing their catch. They've adapted to do this because their own wings have no oily secretions, so they are unable to fish for themselves. The next morning, we arrived at Rabida, just to the west of North Seymour. In the early dawn, brown pelicans and sea lions can be seen fishing offshore. This brown noddy is a professional thief like the frigate bird and tries to steal this brown pelican's catch. The brown penguin of the Galapagos is an endemic population, but it's still quite similar to the mainland brown pelicans of North and South America. Bull sea lion watches carefully over his harem of up to 10 females. These sea lions are descendants of California sea lions that migrated here during the glacial periods, when waters extending down the Pacific coast of Central America were cooler than they are today. They thrive in the relatively cool waters of the Galapagos with its abundant supply of fish. If you listen, you can hear the sucking sound. Rabida is arid, and its hills are populated by scalasia trees and candelabra cactus. Its native birds have adapted to this environment. Cactus finches, with their strong beaks, have penetrated the outer skin of this sturdy cactus, and ground finches and Galapagos doves are well suited to ground feeding. Our next stop was James Bay on Isla Santiago. The rocky black lava coastline is punctuated by tunnels carved out by the waves, this one affectionately known as Darwin's Toilet. The rocks are covered with marine iguanas, the most aquatic lizards on the entire planet. They are thought to have evolved from land iguanas from the mainland of South America. These juveniles feed on seaweed growing on rocks in the intertidal zone. Their sharp, strong claws help them hold on through the pounding by the waves. Mature adults leave the coast completely, commonly diving over 30 feet deep to feed. This adult male has characteristic red coloration and spikes down its back. It shakes its head up and down in a territorial display. The iguanas share this space with the garishly colored Sally Lightfoot crabs. I often wondered that their bright coloration doesn't make them easier prey. But I learned that the juvenile crabs are darkly colored as camouflage, attaining their bright red shells only when they are big enough to ward off most predators. Sally Lightfoot crabs and marine iguanas share the same environment. Through parallel evolution, they have adapted similarly to feed on algae and to cling tenaciously to the rocks of the intertidal zone. We sailed overnight to Wolf Island, arriving early the next morning. Wolf Island lies 140 miles north of James, with sheer cliffs arising like a fortress out of the clear waters of the open Pacific. No land excursions are possible here. We've come to enjoy the unique world of Galapagos beneath the waves. Before plunging in, our dive master reviews safety concerns, since we are diving a truly remote island with strong currents and giant schools of sharks. Just as landlubber naturalists rave about the Galapagos, divers know that this is also the best site in the world to see sharks. Underwater, we are not disappointed. There are huge schools of fish, small fish, bigger fish, and at the top of the food chain, 3 big varieties of sharks. At first, we see a couple of solo hammerheads cruising overhead, but soon, a dark cloud reveals itself to be a massive school of hammerhead sharks. Right about now, I'm thinking that I might look like a tasty snack to just one of those guys. But in reality, I know that they're not interested in me. In fact, the sharks come here in daytime not to feed, but to be cleaned by the schools of king angelfish. The sharks look mean, but they're passive now, allowing these smaller fish to touch them and remove parasites from their bodies. At night, the sharks will travel out to sea to feed. The hammerheads are actually rather shy of our air bubbles, but now we come upon a school of Galapagos sharks who swim right through our group of divers. They're faster and they're less predictable than the hammerheads, swimming all around us and through our group in different directions. That's what you call a high-energy dive. After a brief rest on our boat, we plunge in again, this time to explore some of the underwater caves. At the entrance to one cave, we find a sea turtle's shell, long since decayed. Inside, a live sea turtle is awakened by our lights. To our surprise, a sea lion is also hiding in this cave. As clumsy as they are on land, they are the epitome of underwater grace, spinning like a ballerina. In a nearby cave, another diver awakens a sleeping white-tipped shark. Startled by the intrusion, The shark swims for the exit, just as another diver enters. Fortunately, he finds his way out and swims away peacefully. On our way out, we see a beautiful marble ray, a cousin of the shark family, who looks like he's flying with those wings of his. What a great day of diving. From Wolf, we head north to Darwin Island, the northernmost island of the Galapagos. This small island provides some of the most exciting diving on the planet. The oceans positively teem with life. A shadow in the distance can become almost anything. Here we encounter the rarest of oceanic creatures on Earth, the whale shark. Whale sharks are the biggest fish in the seas, up to 50 feet long. They migrate thousands of miles through the Indian Ocean, Australia, and the Galapagos Islands, feeding on the tiniest of creatures that they filter from water that passes through their huge mouths. To swim alongside one of these creatures is to really feel small and insignificant. Another shifting cloud in the distance becomes a school of jacks, thousands of fins and big round eyes circling us in all directions. Next, a school of tuna swims by and a sea turtle emerges from the group. The sheer quantity of life here is truly amazing. The next cloud of fish moves rapidly as a Pacific dolphin swims by to check us out. Attached to his right flank is a remora. Before we know it, our time is up. We set sail in the setting sun, greeted by a full moon rising over the Pacific Ocean. Next stop, Cousins Rock, a small rocky outcropping north of Isla Santiago. The reef here is lush with corals, urchins, and small reef fish in large numbers. But the main attraction is the sea lion colony. What a great opportunity to dive with these clowns of the sea. I've heard that animal playfulness is related to their intelligence. That puts these clowns way up the evolutionary ladder. As their antics get me all twisted up just watching them, I wonder whether they're not the ones getting a laugh on me. Just around the corner from Cousins Rock is Bartolome, on the eastern side of Isla Santiago. Here we find another comedian of the animal world, the Galapagos penguin. His formal black and white attire contrasts markedly with his humorous hops and skips on land, and the way he uses his wings underwater. They're useless for flying, but they become great flippers in the aquatic world. Only about 820 Galapagos penguins exist. They enjoy these relatively cool equatorial waters. During El Niño warm cycles, they move from one island to another, trying to find the coolest spots. Watching them, they seem truly social creatures. They greet each other with pats on the back and appear to talk with each other. Penguins feed on large schools of small bait fish found in the shallow bays. These fish also attract diving birds, like our friends the blue-footed boobies. They circle repeatedly, finding the thickest schools of fish, and dive repeatedly in at full speed, mouths open to catch fish between their beaks. Slow motion reveals the details of their dive and controlled descent with fish in mouth. From atop Bartolome, we scan the surrounding islands. Some nearby lava fields are only 150 years old, and only the earliest pioneer plants have gotten a foothold here as yet. Over the past few hundred years, mariners captured possibly 250,000 giant tortoises for food during long ocean passages. These ancient creatures neared extinction. Today, they are preserved through the active intervention of the Charles Darwin Research Station. Scientists take eggs from the wild, incubate them, and raise the young tortoises in pens where they are protected until at 3 years old they can protect themselves. At that point, they are returned to their proper islands. The people of the Galapagos Islands realize their natural treasure and work hard to preserve it, saving 97% for nature and taking only 3% for human habitation. Sometimes special arrangements are made to allow humans and wild animals to coexist, as on this cattle farm. Let us all come away from this unique wildlife preserve with a greater appreciation for the health of our own environment.